Mike the Hobbit here.
Lowdown Brown.
Inviting you to check out Geeks Under the Influence, a podcast that pairs booze with conversation with good friends.
And a little nerd culture.
We get a lot of colorful conversation out of our episodes, but it is here for everyone. No gatekeeping.
Always level up everything we do.
We'll punch up, never punch down.
Exactly.
So check out Geeks Under the Influence anywhere you get your podcasts and join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit. Welcome to GUI Nights.
GUI Nights.
Yeah, I am Lowdown Brown. With me as always,
Mike the Hobbit.
this is the tangential side of GUI.
This is like so many of those other shows that has the after the show bit mixed with a little bit of Baywatch Nights, so it's a little sexier. It's a little bit after hours.
Also while tying it into the previous episode of GUI. So look forward to that too, because this comes out the week after the flagship hour-long episode.
So make sure to check out GUI Nights, and when you're done, you can
Go the fuck home.
The views and opinions expressed on Geekfather are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their affiliates, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. This is for the parents and not for the kiddies.
Geekfire!
Can you try one more time? Say Geekfather real loud.
Geekfire way out! I just did it.
Welcome back, guys. That's right. If you're hearing this luscious, beautiful voice, ooh, in the year 2022, the Geekfathers are back.
Yeah, buddy.
That's right. I'm Scotty P here, and by my side, fellow bald, glasses wearing mofo, Kyle Smash.
What's up, man?
What's happening, brother?
Nothing. Well, a lot.
A lot. Apparently a lot. Like, a lot happened this break, guys, but welcome back, guys.
I want to say nothing, but so much has happened.
I wish it could have been a little bit more nothing this time around.
Nothing.
But
Let's talk about some
some
off-the-cuff shit, but man, there's just so much to go over.
There is. And guys, welcome to 2022 with the Geekfathers. Still bringing all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent right to your little ear hole. Hopefully you guys have been able to catch up on any previous episodes. If you're a first-time listener and the first time of our first episode of the year, welcome and welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yay!
Yay!
We clap in the background. When you said, like, right into your ear holes, I kept thinking, and right into your heart.
Well, that's appropriate, yes.
Yes.
We touch the heart in a loving way, not in a creepy way.
Yes.
So...
But we don't always get permission, so that's the only caveat.
Consent is rule number one these days.
Yes.
So, yes. Guys, thank you very much. And we're really going to hop right into it. First off, I would say on a personal level, we did have a decent holiday break.
Yeah.
This
Good
year
Christmas.
with school, the Christmas, the New Year, and everything. Nothing too exciting for us. I mean, we're still unfortunately in the midst of COVID, trying to quarantine, trying to be good about all that mess, so to say. But overall, we still had a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had a great time too. We, it was only a handful of us, but it was the first time in actually a while that I had my family and my girlfriend's family all under the same roof. We were all safe, but there's only so much you can do with that.
True.
And we had a great break. I learned a lot since the last time we were on the mic, and looking to share that with the world.
We are growing.
Yes, evolving.
Yes, evolving, the ebbs and flow, just like with parenting, guys. We still did that, like we've always talked about in years prior. I mean, this show has been around for years now. We're going to be approaching anniversary number 2 or 3, something like that, this summer for the overall show. Mm-hmm. We're technically 1 year anniversary as you as permanent co-host.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like we should go out to dinner. Let's make it romantic.
A nice steak dinner, a fine wine.
That's right, buddy.
We're gonna get loose.
Nice good old red wine to go with it.
Oh, yes.
Medium rare.
Yes.
We'll make it happen.
It will happen one day.
Yes.
So as we sit here and look longingly into each other's reflections on our heads from our shiny baldness, overall, things are good. We hope things have been great for you guys. There have been some bumps in the road, unfortunately, which we'll mainly talk about because we didn't have anything, like you said, things were simple. We were able to do some family time. Nothing extraneous really occurred. I still had to work, do some work and stuff. But the kids enjoyed their time. They had, thanks to the snow, they got almost a whole extra week off of school.
You're telling me, I'm like, hey, you kids are lucky. Some people were not lucky, obviously.
No, that's why
the area's not so hard hit. We were lucky enough. But it was like you couldn't have come, a week earlier, a few days earlier. Can I get one white snow before the apocalypse happens?
Exactly.
Just one white Christmas.
Yeah. So, and fortunately, I think to everybody out there, if you were stuck on 95 or in other areas, hopefully you made it home safely. I know it was a long, almost 24 hours for some people.
Yeah.
So hopefully you made it home. Just if you're listening, be with you, man.
I mean, you gotta appreciate the amount of time they're spent in a situation like that,
and
not knowing what's going to happen
in a metal box in the middle of the cold.
Right.
And oh man,
I can only imagine getting home. You kind of go, okay,
I need another.
I'm okay with shit.
Yeah.
Things don't seem as stressful.
But I still need a whole other day, like another full 24 hours to decompress.
Right. I need at least a few hours in that day to drink.
Yes.
Maybe just to get my nerves under control, then take a rest, and then I'll come back to life the next day. I'll come back and face it all. But I can only imagine you appreciate things a little bit more when you make it out of a situation like that.
Agreed. But and besides all the we stay away from the politics and stuff. There's ever stuff growing, guys. So just remember, even after the holidays, we know some of the stressors are there. We're still here if you need help or just need an ear just to listen to anything you need. But things are going good. So far, it hasn't been ideal, but 2022 has actually started off pretty strong.
Yeah.
More individually, I should say. I mean, like I say, the politics and blah, 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 we're not going to worry about all that mess right now. We're talking about the kids are happy, they're healthy, they've been going, they've
That's what's important.
Exactly.
Yes.
Those kids have ebbed and flowed so well with what's happened, and especially after a little glitch of a few snow days away from school is not going to hinder anything at this point.
I think it was a glitch in the Matrix.
Oh, I agree.
I think it was a glitch in the simulation.
Yeah. There was definitely a software update and something got corrupted.
Yes. It was probably a Windows. It was a Windows update.
Fucking Microsoft.
Yeah. But even the Matrix not immune to that shit.
Right? Something's gonna fuck it up eventually. But guys, this is basically the welcome back episode, really.
Speaking of, and this is from a geek perspective, because we look at the world, from not just the experiences we had, but the things that we grew up loving, right?
Yeah.
And I have to, and as you get older, part of being not just a geek or a parent, but just part of living is as you get older, the things you once loved, you see kind of start to go because that is life, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
the cycle unfortunately has ended on a few things. One right before the new year and one basically right after the new year.
That's correct. And
so,
which one do you want to tackle first?
Let's go chronologically here.
Okay.
So
is that age?
Well, age and when it happened.
When it happened. So that would be Betty White.
Unfortunately, Betty White, America's grandmother, which if you're dorky enough like we are, who we're going to talk about after this, unfortunately. But we lost Miss Betty White sheer days, less than a week before her 100th birthday.
I mean, 6 days. No. How many days? 15 days? What did you say?
I thought it was less than a week.
It might have been less than a week. It might have been less than a week or a little more. I know that it just recently come out that she had actually suffered a stroke 6 days prior to passing away.
Oh, I see. I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we grew up loving her, and not just as geeks, but just as kids who watched TV and had really good TV on.
But back in the day when you only had 3, maybe 4 channels, before the cake,
that were worth a damn.
Right. Before all that, even as kids, at one point, you still had the glorious wonder of the Golden Girls.
That's right.
And then Betty White on that show, along with all the other actors, were superb on that show. I mean, that show can do no wrong, but specifically Betty White at this point joined the rest of the Golden Girls in heaven or wherever plane of existence you believe in. And it was really a sad ending because Betty White just didn't stop. She was still going, man. She was like on purpose.
She was in everything. I mean, so with my mom, I watched. You could see old reruns of like the Carol Burnett show, and Mary Tyler Moore.
Yep.
On like Nick at Night, and so I'd sit up with my mom and I'd watch and Golden Girls too. But Golden Girls came a little bit later. I didn't realize this, but I used to love the show, and I knew she was on it. Was Mama's Family.
Yeah.
And from 1983 to 1984, she was on that. I didn't know that. I mean, I was born in 1983, so I would know.
Yeah. See, that's where I've got you a little bit with the age, where even though I had no idea what was going on with these shows most of the time, the comedy was still there. The impact was still there. And specifically, Betty White for these characters that she did. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go ahead and start bringing this up to where as you get older and you learn what these people have done, like you really learn about the expansive career that she had.
You didn't have access to that information back then.
Right. This is all pre-internet.
Yeah. And if it was a movie star or whatever and you saw them on TV, it was this, it was your glammed up movie star style-esque. That's what you saw them as.
Right.
And as we've gotten older now with the information coming out, like you can find anything you want out about them and you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that she basically was there from the start of TV.
Yeah.
She was there from the start.
Oh, yeah. She was there. And the whole thing is that she wasn't even there at the start. She made bigger impacts than so many other people. And I'm just glossing over, of course, we Kyle here is our detail researcher now.
Well, and if you want to go over some details, this is some pretty cool shit. And this is what I love about learning about people that you've watched all your life and you get to learn about them is that, there's always more than just the work they did. And sometimes it can make them not so great, and sometimes it can make them that much bigger in your mind. And like for her, her career started in 1939 to 1953 in radio work, early television, Bandy Productions.
Yeah.
Then she moved on to her own show.
She had like a variety show of some type. Yeah.
The Betty White show. And
now the Betty White show, and as most people have probably learned by now with her death and everything, if you weren't a bigger, I'm sure there are way bigger fans than myself. I was a fan of Betty White, but I'm sure there are people that followed her career way more closely.
I think I know where you're going.
Oh, what
a badass.
For not only at that time for a woman to take a stand of any type, but an anti-racist stand, fuck yes to Betty White.
Mm-hmm.
That woman had, as she even put it, she was like, why do you have to say you have to be tough as balls? It should be tough as vaginas because balls are very sensitive.
They could take a pounding.
Exactly. Yeah. And
you bring that up, and I want to go. His name, he was a tap dancer, Arthur Duncan.
Yes.
He became a regular cast member, and because of that, and it was the Southern stations, the Jim Crow era, all that stuff. She was threatened with a lot, but she had the balls to stick with it.
She stuck with. Unfortunately, what was it? It was within that last year or so that the show
had the vagina to stick with it.
Well, there you go. They did pull the plug on her show, which everything indicates it was in direct relation to that. Basically, she took a stand as a woman who was considered, and I'll just say then at this point, it was considered a minority, and that she was standing up for. I guess the way people looked at it was a lesser minority. Is really the best way to describe it, really. Because, I mean, granted, those times were jacked. When we think about the way things are now and the way they should be, they were so much worse, 60, 70 years ago.
Especially in terms of the laws. And the repercussions from something like that, for sure. But, she never backed down from it. And I think she stayed and everything I've looked at her career, you know, and it wasn't always just in the character she plays. She just played them so well. She was such a talented actress.
Very diverse, very just general talent.
But you know, in the information age and the age of YouTube and then Facebook and stuff, and she started coming out more with, you know, just kind of being able to, in these sort of smaller, you know, ways, I guess, smaller chunks of herself of time that she would come out with small videos, you know, memes, things like that. But she was hysterical, but she was known to just be a very kind person.
Right.
You know, and it's
sassy but kind.
Well, tough as nails, but definitely kind.
Yeah.
And, you know, so for her to go through that, to live that kind of life over that many years, and you know, I know that, you know, you could say, well, she was 99, so that's pretty goddamn amazing for her to live 99, and she was, and it's a proof that some good people do get to have
live
that sort
full
of
existence. Yeah.
So you know, it gives me some hope. To go right before your 100th, it's almost like I imagine a woman of her stature and her toughness, if she had the choice and was able to like look out on herself and be like, no. Right. I didn't go this far to not make it to fucking triple digits.
Right, exactly.
Like, you know,
oh my
Death's
God.
standing right there, like it's time to go, you know, and she kicks him in the nuts and was like, you're a weak ass pussy.
Right.
And then I'm buying myself 2 more weeks.
Dude, and the fact that she held, and I mean, we're going to repeat ourselves, you know, for the most part about this, but she really did hold her own standards. She managed herself for the most part on her own terms and she held a career in the entertainment business, no less. Which
through changing eras, decades. I mean, that's
the change in decades and eras, and where most people.
They burn out in under 10 years.
Exactly. I was about to say, some people are lucky enough to stay in the entertainment business for a decade.
Yeah.
Much less multiple decades. And to be able to do it on your own. Like, I'm sure there was stuff that she did just for a paycheck, but she still brought so much of her own life into whatever role she had. Like, even Rose from the Golden Girls, she played the quote-unquote dumb one, but she pulled those one-liners like there was no tomorrow, and only Betty White could have done that.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen, I've often thought it takes someone really smart to pretend to be someone really stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because when you're genuinely stupid, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell when someone's probably just been able to remember their lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, so cheers to her.
Absolutely.
And the life that she led and the legacy that she's going to leave behind. And luckily in this day and age, younger generations can see her. Like I said, I was just telling you, last night I watched Golden Girls.
It's been on in our house for the past week or two, just, you know, always catching episodes, but it was like, again, thanks to this day and age, you can start at season 1, episode 1, and just roll through the whole show straight through.
And they were, you know, ahead of their time, you know, attacking, you know, certain subjects and like racism and things like that. So they were completely ahead of their
racism. They attacked homophobia, sexism. I mean, the show was about 4 elderly ladies who were standing on their own.
Yeah.
So, some due to, unfortunately, they were widows or even divorced, but they made it on their own. Dude, you can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
And this is in the 80s when shit was still a little funky with sexism and racism and all the isms and obias and phobias or whatever, you know.
It was still in the funk.
Oh, yeah.
Not getting funky. It was still still all a bunch of funky areas to hit, especially in pop culture.
Absolutely.
You know, that's you know, and that's where when it came out or when it was attacked head on, you know, those subjects by certain people, you know, in those decades is what, you know, those were the real impacts because you were, you know, you were truly going against the wave or the curve, you know.
And thanks to the technology, that's where we can pass that on.
Right.
Because as much as, dude, I mean, I would have loved to have met Betty White. Talk about a fucking bucket list celebrity meeting, like just to be like, you're awesome, and get a little hug from her, maybe a photo. It could have been 5 minutes, but just the fact to meet her. But with today's day and age of technology, she is such an ideal person to pass on to our kids, other kids, to be like, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your sex, your race or whatever. You can make things fucking happen.
Yeah.
You just stand to your scruples and, fight the good fight.
And that's part of being a geeky parent, I think, like a nerd dad.
For sure.
Is when you have kids, is you take, and we've said it a million times before, is you take some of those elements and you try to feed them into the parenting aspect.
Sure.
For me, it's like, I have my mom who, I see as, as I get older, know she's not perfect, but know that she was a great mom, or a great person. And to this day, strong as shit.
Those realizations of, oh, that's why they did that. I hated them when I was a teenager for doing that.
That's why they made these.
But then you're like, oh, shit.
That wasn't selfish. That was a sacrifice.
Right.
Right. They even become more. You still know they're not perfect, but they only because you're going through it yourself and realizing, like you said, shit, this is hard.
Exactly.
And, so when ladies like her exist or just people, and I'm with my kid and when I think about it, or I'm seeing a video or I'm seeing a meme, I'm like, I want you to look at this, because I want you to see the type of people that you can be. You don't have to compromise or you don't have to do some TikTok video where you're where you're not barely dressed or it has to be a fucking dance. And listen, there's people, you do you, but when it comes to her, I want her to to just see those that there's people are out in the world.
Self-respect needs to be there first, and then just to show it as you do your thing. Whether
you're man, woman, whether you identify one way or the other, it does not matter. Those people can be a symbol for things for us to reach as not just personally, but as a society. Yeah. If you let it, and so more power, and like I said, cheers to her, and thank you for, even if you didn't realize, helping me be a better parent, even with small moments of your wisdom that I could share.
You entertained us in our youth, and gave us a proper stand on where we should be for so much to do with our parenting.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I raise our glass to Miss Betty White.
Yes.
For even though you are gone off this mortal coil, you will live forever in our hearts.
And on the internet.
So, thank you, Miss Betty White. Now, I hope we can even give half the praise to this next one.
I don't think so, but that's nothing against him. He's just not Betty White.
Yeah, well, it's just that he spent maybe about half this time on the earth that she did. Almost,
and did a lot less.
Right. Did a lot less, but it still had a great impact. The late, great Bob Saget. That's right. America's dad.
Mr. Danny Tanner himself.
That's right. And again, if you ever want to catch a great tribute to Bob Saget, I've mentioned this show on here before. It's called Never Thought I'd Say This. It's Miss Jodie Sweetin with her friend Cecile. They have their own parenting podcast that they do.
Have they already talked about this?
Yes.
I know it happened pretty recent. So
yeah, they have brought up stuff. They re-released some a fun little behind the scenes type episode of when Bob Saget was on their show like last year sometime. Stuff like that. So. And that's why, like, even though these are sad things, I want to be hype about it, because these people, Betty White, Bob Saget, America's grandmother, America's dad, for various reasons, and people can, disagree with, it's just a celebrity or whatever. Regardless, these people had...
Well, they had an impact.
More of an impact, and I would say more... I can't think of negative impact by any means.
Yeah, well, they had their pulse. They were, part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
When you say, you have your finger on the pulse, like they were part of the pulse. And that's what makes them bigger. It's like everybody has an effect in their own little world in some way to the people around them.
Right.
But when you get to certain statuses, especially early then, I don't think it matters as much now. Because the smaller celebrity really has more power, it seems, or more noticeability.
There's easier accessibility these days.
Right. So back in the day, they were it. They were like, you raised them up.
Right.
Like, wow, like Harrison Ford, like, oh my God, you are a god. You know what I mean? So like that's what you grew up seeing, and that they were part of the zeitgeist, and he was no different. I mean,
Exactly.
he was totally in the home.
Bob Saget is the one that threw us the awesome curveball. And I say this because the majority of the world first met Bob Saget as you mentioned, Danny Tanner, America's Dad, Full House, a show that, again, we grew up with, had huge impact. But then he was kind of, after that show ended, or like somewhere, the show probably technically hadn't even ended at that point, depending on your age, on when you found it. Because again, this is still like very early internet days.
Yeah.
So you didn't always know what was going on. He ended up being that little extra cool dad of being like, oh, you tell really dirty jokes and you cuss a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because he started up in stand-up, and I'm sure he was like that all along. But then getting that role, he had to, and then, of course, America's Funniest Home Videos, he had to play this super clean, super vanilla.
I can make the little joke, but it's a totally clean joke.
It's I sounds bad saying it now, but back then it would have been like the Cosby joke. I don't curse in that sort of thing.
For the time,
very clean. And that's how he was known to the household. I did
98% of America. Knew him as this clean cut dude.
I didn't know how dirty he was in terms of his comedy until I saw him on Entourage. He did a stint. He did a stint on Entourage way early on. It was like the first couple of seasons.
See, I never really watched the show, but I knew he was on there.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's I love the show, but a lot of it's definitely toxic masculinity at its finest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With some curveballs thrown in there.
What I got was, again, very early internet days, was a friend going, oh my God, Danny Tanner, he cusses, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Saw one of those 84, 85 videos of him at the Comedy Store doing his actual stand-up. Holy shit. You're like, this is fucking Danny Tanner?
Yeah.
What? Oh, but you loved him even more because at that point you're later teens getting into, and then you're just like, no, Danny Tanner was the cool dad because he held his responsibility, did what he needed to do, but he also lived life and knew how to talk through life as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy. And then, of course, the stuff they did, Half-Baked and stuff.
Well, he also was the voice of the older main character, Ted Mosby, in How I Met Your Mother. So he narrated the show.
Oh, shit, that's right, he did.
He narrated the show all season.
As much as I loved that show when it was on, I totally forgot about that.
And I'm just recently learning he actually is from Philly.
Yeah.
He's from Philly. I'm from Philly. Originally, I was born there.
I know that.
I thought that was just pretty cool. That's what I said. You always look and you go, man, I didn't know this about people. But I think he had moved. They had come down to Virginia at some point and lived.
Oh, really?
At least Norfolk.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of great information.
Again, what you can find on Wikipedia and different stuff like that as well.
Well, there's only so many resources you're going to find stuff about him. I know that I don't know if my kid knows, but she loves Full House. Full House and Family Matters were the two, even now. Yeah. That is definitely something geeky that not even I, but her mom, who's not even a nerd about anything, we showed her those two shows, and even to this day, she loves them. Fuller House, she loves the shows.
Well, I was about to say, I think that the impact is even bigger, because he did go back and did Fuller House. Wasn't involved with it as much, but still played the role to a fucking T. As no one else can, of course, do Danny Tanner. And I think one of the most heartbreaking things with what's happened with him is that he was technically right in the middle of doing another comedy tour. Yeah. Which was always that was his original bread and butter. One thing he has always talked about that he has loved to do is the comedy tours, man. And at this point, as we're recording the episode, we don't have any details.
No.
So,
but
fingers crossed. Excuse me. I'm hoping there was no relapses. Just to say it straight out, there was no relapse on anything that maybe cropped up from his past. Hopefully,
I don't. Knock on wood. There are some news reports out there. There's one report we talked about the hotel employees finding him and then calling, of course, calling the cops, and it's an unresponsive person, where they found him in bed with the lights off and just his hand across his chest. So it seemed like it happened while he was, so far from the report, that it happened while he was sleeping.
Right.
Which is...
so hopefully he went peacefully in the night is the hope and be all for that.
Yeah.
So, no, agreed. And I just say that because things are stressful. And when you're in the limelight, I can only imagine the additional stress and those demons that crop up from the past is the only reason why I say that. I would hate him, or not hate him, I should say. I would love him no less if that were to be something. So, and if that report is correct, which I hope it is, great. He went peacefully.
It's the best way you can hope to go.
Right.
I mean, it's so close to home. That's how my father went.
Yeah.
He went in his sleep, at 52.
Right.
So, it is one of those things where it's like, it's sad, but if you're going to go, that's at most peace that you can be, I guess.
Exactly. And I feel, and I guess part of what hurts is, like I said, is that not only was he touring, he was really on an upswing for getting back into things. I think doing Fuller House and a couple other things he was working on really helped motivate him, because he was 68?
Yes. Well, he was it 56 to 2022.
So,
I am so terrible at on-the-spot math. You don't even know.
44. Yeah, so 60, mid-60s.
Yeah, mid-60s.
Mid-60s. Okay. For someone, just like what we mentioned with Betty White, for someone to even be at that age and to keep rolling in the entertainment business, and not only that, but to be on an upswing, for him to sit there and be like, I'm going back to my roots, I'm doing something I love, and I can do it, and still... pay the bills and have fun while doing it.
That man did 2 culturally impacting shows, and I mean,
for
culturally,
sure.
In terms of the pop culture and in the world,
right,
was obviously Full House, and How I Met Your Mother. And even though he wasn't physically on there, he voiced it over. Well, America, so 3.
Yes,
and those are still on.
The reruns are still everywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Carlton from.
Alfonso.
Alfonso, who played Carlton on Fresh Prince, does them now.
Yeah.
If I'm not
Yes. No, you're
mistaken.
correct. You're correct.
Okay.
I've happened to catch a couple episodes. That's the only reason why I know that. But,
Hey, he's good. He's a talented guy.
Hey, no, another talented guy. But those where I was going to say is really the 2, Betty and Bob, unfortunately, were the 2 real big hits. Like, again, leaving everything at the wayside for this, like, just in your day-to-day, like, you will, if those people are ever on TV, I will always watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it's all going to be reruns now, and unfortunately, we have stuff like Fuller House was a Netflix show.
Yeah.
They are definitely going to keep that along with the original Full House on there, probably for who knows how long. And like you said, we've been watching The Golden Girls and, a couple other things.
I'm worried about I'm starting to worry about the people from Family Matters. As I sit here and we're talking about this, I'm like, can everybody be okay from that show? Because, the guy who plays the dad, and forgive me because his actual name escapes me, who plays Carl, the father in there, was in, like, many movies. He was the guard in Ghostbusters, says, hey, Ghostbusters, Mayor wants to chat with you or see you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, Die Hard.
The first 2 Die Hard.
The cops and Die Hard.
Yes.
He just did so many. And then, of course, Carl.
Jaleel White was Urkel.
Urkel, yeah.
Yes. Which he still does stuff. Actually, he just created a new strain of weed with Snoop Dogg. So he is doing just fine, sir.
Do that. I wonder if they just.
I think it's called,
siphon it out of Snoop Dogg's blood and mix it.
I mean,
I'm sure he's
that would
got to
make
be.
It potent as
I'm
fuck.
sure that man's blood has got to be at least 60-40 THC.
But I believe it's called the Purple Urkel.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
The Purple Urkel.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they can even use that name, but
dude, copyright law, that's probably long gone. I did this for the.
I guess statute of limitations.
Yeah,
ran out.
yeah, dude. I doubt anybody really worried about reading up the name Urkel.
Yeah.
After 20 years ago, or so. So yeah.
Well, that was around. Well, yeah, because Full House was what? Yeah, it was 87. It started. Family Matters.
Yeah, those shows were all like started late 80s and went into
1989.
Yeah, and then they all went to about mid 90s because well they're part of the TGIF.
Yeah, that's right. I used to love TGIF too.
Oh, dude, TGIF was the best marketing ever for Friday nights, man.
Especially for kids and families who were home.
Right, dude. Pizza
middle
night,
class families.
yeah,
too,
absolutely.
Specifically. Yeah, no, it was great. Like I said, to this day, I still watch them. But yeah, 89 to 97, and then they were 87 to 95 was Full House.
Yeah.
So, they went a little longer, but those shows, they had, especially, I think Family Matters actually had a bigger impact. Not to take anything away from Bob Saget, but in terms of shows and its impact, cultural impact.
Cultural impact should be the key for that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And to this day, honestly, my kid, she agrees the same way. If given the choice between Full House and Family Matters, we will always choose Family Matters.
Nice.
But not because we have any less love for Full House.
Right.
It's just Family Matters. It was a different thing on its own. But both shows were really great at showing, teaching good morals. And not shoving it up, down your throat.
No, well, and that's where you give the writers for shows like this such huge credit. Again, Bob Saget, the other actors, and everything pulled the characters off, especially those child actors. If they came out halfway as a halfway decent human, the way a lot of 80s, 90s child actors have kind of gone downhill really bad. Mm-hmm. Not to say they haven't had their issues, but they're stronger now. Hopefully they are. Great. But the writing was subtle enough, impactful enough, and I don't know if it's sad or a good learning tool that we have now is that those shows and the stuff that they talked about morally can still be used today. Mm-hmm. Which the sad part, of course, of that is, yes, we still have to teach our children about racism, phobias, the isms, as I mentioned earlier. Those things are still relevant.
You've got me confused.
Prevalent. Prevalent. Damn it. Whew. I'm getting worked up over Bob and Betty here.
Google that shit.
I will. You're the Google guy on the show.
I know.
So you get that. But
the impact on it, the impact from those shows, especially Full House, whether it's Betty White or Bob Saget, Mary Tyler Moore show, all those shows.
Yeah. All
those shows were great for a reason, and either they attacked something or they especially Mary Tyler Moore, strong female characters,
right?
Golden Girls as well. Bob Saget's, or Full House, and kind of showing the. I don't know if they were middle class or rich. I want to say that they were, but it was just about showing, that it's tough raising kids. And no matter what.
I was going to say that's the general. That's why I say Bob Saget was the cool dad, because he handled business. Like, you really look at, you're mixing real life characters and stuff, so to say. He handled shit. He showed you the great way to grow as you raise the family. And then you find out that, the clean cut dude can still tell a dirty joke that's still funny.
Yeah.
Without hurting feelings. And so, you say it like that, but then at the same time, you really some of it was the sign of the times, but really for the way that man joked, you could still watch his old stand-up from the 80s and still laugh and still not feel dirty because of certain things that were said. You know what I mean?
But still some of the dirtiest humor ever heard.
Oh, yeah. And
I mean, hell, the Jesse there, John Stamos played with the Beach Boys. He was in the Kokomo video before. I think he got...
No, that was during Full House.
Was that during Full House?
Yeah, because the Beach Boys were on the show a couple times.
Well, I know they were on the show a couple times, but I don't remember when Cocktail came out.
The show was already going on. I remember
87.
that.
So, yeah, they're probably a year or two in. it was just they had a lot of great stars on it, and Fuller House came out. It actually wasn't bad. I would watch it. I'd watch it with my kid, and I was like,
we totally like the wife and I were like, oh man, I hope they really don't jack this up, and we just started watching it, and just we're like, when's the next season?
It very much felt like a Full House episode, like the old style sitcoms that really now everything does seem to have a darker twist on it, and I think that was the difference from things we grew up with. And when they come out, like Fuller House was so popular, because I just watched the preview for Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the new one.
Right.
And I mean, it looks good. It looks good. It doesn't.
Yeah, they're rebooting that, right?
Rebooting it as a more serious tone, which is if they want to, if they want to take that on to tackle issues in a non-comedic format, I'm all for it. That's fine.
Sure.
At the same time. It is not. It's to me when I just looking at the preview, I was like, well, this is definitely not Fresh Prince. Like Fresh Prince, growing up watching that had this like great humor and great heart, and
just like
in
Bob
the middle,
Saget and Betty White.
Yes.
No one is going to Fresh Prince other than Will Smith.
Yeah, not truly.
Not a true Fresh.
I'm going to give the new kid a chance. I'm not sure. I think he's new to
and it's not. And it's not to say that he'll do a bad job. But it's obviously the higher-ups that are just using the name as the intro to make this show.
Right.
That they're doing that type of thing.
And we'll go on a geek rant here. Another show is Wonder Years. I absolutely adore the original Wonder Years. And I'm going to tell you right now, the new Wonder Years is phenomenal.
We've been watching it.
Phenomenal.
I love this new Wonder. And Fred Savage is the producer on it.
Yeah, so he's had a hand in helping direct at least, that the kind of the same feeling you get while watching it, and you're watching it from the different perspective that you never got to see on the original show.
No, even though they touched on some things like that, not as
very
heavy, very lightly, and the way this new Wonder Years show it is done, and again, you want to talk about, I don't know if it's just how things have collided together, or the way things have been written, or just the stars aligned just right. You're talking about the way the writing is superb. They have found this great core group of actors, especially the dad, who actually is from, like, most people know him from Psych. But he
was the partner of the guy with
right.
He had the eidetic memory.
Right, exactly. And he actually comes more from a comedy background, but the way he portrays this father in the 60s, a black father in the 60s.
Yeah. I can only imagine,
like they can only touch but so much on what a person actually thinks, but the way they have portrayed some things have been fucking phenomenal.
Well, they've got the just everything works about that show. Everything works about it. I highly recommend people to go watch it.
Right. See, and those are the shows, too, that are, and some people don't always agree with this, the way it's done, but, to each their own. Those are also the shows that are dinner time shows for us.
Yeah, they were family time shows.
But that's what we do now when we're eating dinner, when we're having that moment where it's just like, no, you're not going to watch a random cartoon and blah, blah, blah. You're going to watch this because and the boys will usually watch them. But to me, it's going to be like, all right, that subliminal type thinking is already there in a good way. Not trying to,
Not like I was groomed to finish my plate every time I eat.
No, every time they hear the theme song to the Wonder Years, they want dessert. No. Nothing like that. But, but that's how it started with us.
Right.
With a lot of these shows back then. These were the primetime shows where either you ate dinner and watched them right after, or just how things evolved is where you were able to watch a show while eating dinner because it was family time.
And we're, in my life, the way that I grew up, and, my mom was a single mom and she worked a lot.
Right.
And when she was there, it was great. We'd sit and we'd watch TV. But there was a lot of times where, my older brothers might or may have not been in there.
Sure.
Where that was my safe place.
Yeah.
That is where I went.
Fair enough, yeah.
To hide from things, but I chose to hide in things that made me feel positive inside, and not feed into me being, if I was an angry kid or if I was upset about something, like it was just. I gravitated towards it, like even Wonder Years, at the end of it taught you something.
Yeah, the little like lesson at the end.
It was always, I was so thirsty for that stuff. And when I with my kid now, when I try, she gets like that, but I don't think she takes from it what I got, just because she's living in a different sort of life. She may not need that as much, but she definitely gets that feeling of, I was sitting there with 10 years or 20 years from now. She goes, me and my dad, we would just sit down, we'd eat and watch Goldbergs, and that's what we did on Wednesday nights, and then afterwards we played we played checkers or something,
Sure,
that is what she's going to remember. So, same positive impact. And and I hope that they keep the Wonder Years, the new one, going for as long as they can.
Yeah, I think we still technically need to finish the first. I'm pretty sure they finished the first season. I'm not sure if they've started a second season yet.
Wonder Years?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they've gotten a second season yet.
Okay. Yeah, we're per usual, we're behind on a few things.
I'm usually an episode or two behind things.
Yeah, same here.
We can only download so much shit into our brain.
But I know stuff like going back to what part of what you were just saying. I know something is being impactful though, because Leland only so much. He's 4, but Logan, you can tell when something catches him because he'll be like, hold on. And again, fortunately for this day and age, we can pause. And he's like, what does that mean, what he's saying or what he's doing? And we can actually have a discussion about it. Now, there are times where he'll have one, I know he's watching, but he wants nothing to do with whatever. He'll barely eat his dinner and he's in his own world. But he's still catching stuff. You can see him looking and the wheels turning. But that's where I get most appreciative of how things can be, even for TV, the thing that rotted your brain back in the day, according to the experts, of, again, where the stars align just right for that writing, the actors portraying the characters, for a 7-year-old child to be watching a show about a black family in the 60s and go, something about that is not right. What does he mean when he says that? And you have to, and we've had discussions on racism and other things in our house. We don't hide stuff like that. We may filter it a little bit based on, visual violence or something.
Sure.
But
you're not going to show them American History X yet.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like that sort of shit.
But Logan is actually, I think I've mentioned it before back when it happened. Logan has actually watched a documentary with me about the 13th Amendment, which is basically how they're still keeping slaves, only they're using the prison system to do it.
Right.
He's watched that with me.
Well, I watched that, yeah.
And, he was, and he asked a couple questions, and I we would stop and explain a few things. There were a couple scenes where I was like, here, cover up your eyes real quick, just because it was like, you don't need to see this. But he absorbed it. Mm-hmm. And you could definitely tell where that has taken a foothold, and something is not right when somebody does this, or he's catching the keywords, if you will. So, and
that's truly how you get past or clear some of those things from the from the social lexicon is you young, when you get them to understand that these things are wrong, human to human, it's wrong, and
people make mistakes. Mm-hmm. People can relearn.
Yes.
But you are going to have this confrontation at one point or another of this person is saying this just based on color of skin, your background, your sexuality, your your hair color, whatever.
Evolution is why we're here, and even if we were to stop evolving biologically, sociologically is not the case. We can continue to evolve.
Sociology is going to evolve no matter how we are physically or mentally.
Well, yes and no. I will. I'd have to agree on that. It's going to become something, but when in terms of like mentality and actions, when I think of evolve, is to be better than we are now. What is in a society, and I don't know if I said the word right earlier, but in a society we can de-evolve in terms of how we regress back to old
fair.
actions.
I was using that very loosely.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, the hopes is that if you can teach them young that these things are bad, that people can be people, no matter what box you think that or the world thinks that they fit in, they can just be people. And if you can look at them like that, you'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
How somebody looks versus who they are, or how they present themselves out into the world in terms of how they treat other people. That should really be the currency in which you use for relationships in your life.
There you go.
So that is where we can evolve more. And if we do get there, it's wonderful. I don't know if it's fully going to happen. I think we're on a good course, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
It's hard to tell. We're really at an odd tipping point with a lot of stuff. That's where this
new generation's for.
Yeah.
Is to learn the things that we learned slowly. Now they're going to have to learn faster because the world's not going to let them take their time.
Yeah, things are definitely quicker now.
Yeah.
But again, that's where these shows where we reflect back on Betty White, Bob Saget, and these other great people who made that impact on us, whether it doesn't matter if it was through a sitcom. It got the message through, which is the important part. I mean, it's not always the go-to to relay the message, but it's really funny how within a certain age group, like these sitcoms really were almost our moral compass.
Yeah.
To a degree. I mean, granted, overall, our parents were definitely not, like, my parents were definitely not racist, No. And, nothing like that.
No, I mean, I know my mom was my moral compass all the way around.
Sure, yeah.
But it made me enjoy those shows so much more because in my head as a kid, I'm going, "Oh, my mom's like that."
Yeah, well, it established where you stood. Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, if you're a parent out there and you're teaching lessons about life through fucking Star Wars, whatever you can use, do what you need to do, boo.
Yes,
you do fucking you.
I love how you use boo in that too.
That's right.
That was good.
You do you. Okay.
You do you, boo, boo. So. And that's really the message. And I think, honestly, that's a great way where the Geekfathers are going to start we're bringing in 2022.
That's right.
For this, I know, as
with
always, as oh, Jesus. As per GY Network, we go off the rails. But again, I just want to send out all our love from the Geekfathers to the personal friends, the family who knew Betty White, because again, we're fans. We know who they are, but we did not know them. But they still have plenty of family and friends. Betty White. I can only imagine her group of people that she was cool with. But I can say for like Bob Saget, there was Jodie Sweetin, John Stamos were probably two of the, at least that I know of, the most public people who spoke on his behalf after his untimely death. So to everybody there, our love and condolences. We will miss them too. Talk about a huge impact that those two wonderful, wonderful people had on the world.
And I just want to end this off with saying, not just them, but there's so far this year there's been a lot of loss, even some closer to home. And I want to say that to everyone out there who lost somebody, regardless of the situation, here's to you and stay strong.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been personal and public all around, unfortunately. But guys, again, we're here. Just even if you need an ear to vent to, someone to talk to, we're here. GY is here. If not, we will help you find somebody who can be there for you. Yes. So feel free to reach out. And if you want to really keep it anonymous, feel free to email us. It is geekfatherpodcastgy@gmail.com. If you want to keep everything anonymous, of course, there's the Twitter @Geekfather1, @Geekfather1, Facebook, The Geekfathers. We're all around. And if you just have anything general or just have some of the after holiday blues and you want to buy yourself something a little nice.
That's right. Put our faces on your body.
Put our faces on your body. Go through gypodcast.com. Click on the link to our friends over at TeePublic. And, of course, that's where you find all the GUI merch, all the wonderful designs. I'm pretty sure the Halloween ones are gone. Hobbit was keeping those on there through Christmas.
That's right.
And I know this year, even though I know we've said it before, this year we are definitely gearing up towards, at least for the Geekfathers, we're working on some new designs, some new things coming with the shows.
We're working in pandemic time. It's different than
absolutely
than it used to be.
Yeah,
it's a whole different time.
It is. It's crazy.
Structure.
But we're definitely doing it for you guys. So hopefully, again, if you're just joining us here in 2022, welcome. We're going to give it to you as we see fit. If you want to give us any feedback, talk to us. We want to hear what other parents or what you think other parents could or should be doing. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear the opinions of non-parents, but sometimes it's valid, sometimes it's not. I'll leave it at that.
I absolutely love to hear any side, to be honest. I always want to hear any side. So if you want to reach out to us,
yes,
there's a topic you want us to touch on.
A good discussion.
A good discussion is a good discussion.
That's right. So guys, reach out to us, talk to us. We'll still be here, so welcome to our first episode of the year. We have plenty more and fun stuff catching up. Oh, and even though I know it's not 100% in stone, we should be at GalaxyCon Richmond.
Question mark?
It's
March 18th through March 20th, 2022 at Greater Richmond Convention Center, son. So it's a big place.
Wait a minute. Where are the dates again for Richmond?
Right here.
March 18th through the 20th. Okay.
At the Greater Richmond Convention Center. So unless something happens and that changes, that's the current dates that we... Question mark will be there.
Question mark. We're trying to finalize our panelist spots.
Yeah.
Even if we don't do panels, we will be there in some form or another just to hang out.
We will do you a solid.
Whoa.
A solid, man.
Whoa.
We'll do it.
Whoa. Yeah. First talking about booze and now doing solid, you know.
It's Bob Saget, you know. He's channeling his humor.
Oh, Danny Tanner, you bastard.
You dirty son, bitch.
You dirty son. No, not really. We love Danny. We love Betty, Bob Saget, everybody, guys. 2022, it's going to be a great year. We know it's going to be a roller coaster, but we are here for you guys. Just don't forget, join us.
Or cry.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
GUIPodcast.com.